Good morning, everybody, and happy Monday. I hope you had a great weekend. Hope you're ready to start the week off right. So today, I want to talk to you actually about a quote that I read over the weekend. And it says, that see if I can remember it now. So that it says, when you're shooting an arrow, and an arrow soars through the sky, it first needs to be within the bow and pulled back to propel forward. And it says, always remember that if you're getting setbacks, it's only the preparation for, to propel yourself, in the right direction. And I think it's a real powerful thing to think about that, I know myself, it's like every time that I felt kind of down and out, something else has kind of come back and, maybe not completely life changing, but, something has always, if I was ever getting set back, something always came up to push me even a bit forward to let me know that I was on the right track. And, I think that's something that's always important to think about within your career is that, anything worth having takes time, whether it be, grinding your way at the company or what have you. But, learning takes time, and I always say is that it doesn't always have to be college. College is a great thing if you can do it. If not, there's plenty of resources that you can kind of do out there. It's just going to take more time. It'd be a harder sell in some cases, maybe, but learning takes time. Building your character, building that work ethic. Showing people what you can do. People's perception of you is all things that are going to take time. And I I guess almost the bad habit sometimes is like, I'm always trying to come out the gates kind of like, not necessarily flashy, but, trying to come out the gates right away, doing big things and blah, blah, which isn't a bad thing. But like, I tend to kind of go a little above and beyond sometimes where I find that, that's good and all. And if people take notice, great. But I think it's like to the point of like where it's like I think, oh, I'll do all these bigger, better things, and these crazy, flashy things when I first start that people will take notice, and then that will kind of accelerate me. But I think the smarter way of me looking at it and how I've started to look at it is that I did those flashy things when I first started here to get myself on the map, people to recognize who I am. Now it's time for me to use my work and let my work speak for itself, and then that's the second piece of it. So, like right now I'm doing a lot of learning, I'm doing a lot of extra projects and that kind of stuff that, are sort of helping me really kind of get my, show my work out there and show the quality of work that I can do. And I think continuing to do that is going to be, this is my I don't want to say pullback because it's not, none of this is really a setback, but like all of this is the preparation, so and like just much like pulling back the arrow is the preparation for the shot, this is all of my preparation to go, to hit my target. And, I think everybody has that goal in mind. Some people don't always know necessarily where to go with it or how to go about it. And, I think the biggest thing I've done to kind of get my course of action sort of thing is talking to people, like talking to people who are in the position, like I have a lot of friends who are in the department I want to go to. And, I talk to them, I ask them like, what did you do when you were in my position? Like, what did you do to get to where you are? And understanding this, everyone's story is a very important thing too, right? Because, you may have, oh, okay, getting there this way is not possible at all. Everyone else seems to go this way. And I'm not saying that, dropping the bucket is, always a telling sign that, that you can do that. But like, some people may have gone a different route and, that may kind of be like, no, you know what, I am on the right track. That might kind of be that sort of, switch that flips. I do a lot of that. I've Googled a lot of things, which sounds kind of silly when you say it out loud, but like, whenever I've looked at jobs, when I apply for them, I always look it up online, regardless of how silly the title is. Like, even if it's something, smaller and like, retail-ish, but like it's got a weird name, I Google it and I see what the characteristics of someone in that role is. and I try to live those as closely as I can. Not, I'm not going to change my entire life, but like I keep those concepts in mind with how I handle myself and how, I conduct myself out there. That's another really big thing. Once you've kind of, talked to people and see what the normal paths are and what have you, and you've kind of got those, like, the skill sets down, then from there, that's when you got to start kind of like figuring out, okay, the skills I need to get here are, A, B, and C. How can I learn those, or how can I train for it? How can I practice it? Because the thing is that, they always recommend a good study habit is once you've learned something, like whenever you're like, I mean, this is a good college learning habit that I picked up actually, is that whenever you learn something in the day, you take 10 minutes at the end of the day to put it into practice, even if it's just like like simple, stupid, like practice problem. You put it into practice in some capacity, or even just take 10 minutes to reflect on what you've learned from the day. And like the amount, like the percentage higher of retention that you have of that information is just, completely invaluable. So yeah, like learning and kind of putting it into practice in some capacity is always helpful. Um, and, talking to people that are in that kind of role about what you're learning. So like, if you want to get a gauge like of how much you've learned and how well you're doing with your learning, what I do is I have a friend who's a developer here, and like I talk to him and I'm like, hey, this kind of problem, blah blah blah, and like I'll lay out the steps of how I would do it, and I ask him how that kind of applies and see if I'm on the right track. And like a lot of times, for me, I'm a very relational learner, so like I'm very hands on, but I'm also I always find it's good to have those relational things between problems in like your thought process, right? So like I may say, oh, hey, this is how I would solve this problem, blah, blah. And he might go, well, no, that's not how you do it. You would do it like this. And I would ask the whys. And those whys, in my mind, will sort of be like, okay, well, I thought it would work like this. However, in these kinds of situations, this is how it's actually done. And those relations in my brain, whenever I think about it, right, like I'm going to think back to that problem and be like, oh yeah, I was going to solve it that way, but then I remember this is actually how to do it. So, and it almost like quote unquote rewires my thinking in a sense of how things get done. So to me, that's like a really important thing. But anyways, I've talked a lot today. I kind of feel like I kind of rambled today, but hope you guys are enjoying the videos. Again, make sure you like my Facebook page if you haven't already. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, all that jazz. You know the drill. But yeah, if you guys have any ideas, please let me know. And if you want to hear me talk about certain things, I'd be happy to. But anyways, have a great Monday.